Hey there, this is RJ Debate, sharp arguments, no fluff. At least we try. Today's topic is weirdly intimate. Smells, memory, and whether your nose is secretly the real archivist of your life.
Or in clickbait terms, is that random smell actually the key to your true self? Or is your brain just messing with you again?
So, my corner tonight, smell-evoked memories are special. They're not just cute nostalgia. They're a privileged route into emotion, identity, even therapy. If there's a back door into who you really are, it's probably somewhere between your nostrils.
And I'm more on the calm down incense squad side. Yes, smell is powerful and underrated. But special doesn't mean true. It means strong and biased. Those memories can be vivid, beautiful, and totally misleading. Great for storytelling, dangerous if you sacralize them.
So team nose as deep portal?
Versus team nose as overconfident DJ. Good vibes, but not the gospel.
All right, let's start with the basic question. Why do smells feel so nuclear level emotional?
Because brains are weird and badly wired, that's why.
More precisely, smell has a VIP lane in your brain. Most senses, vision, hearing, touch, route through the thalamus first, that central relay hub. Smell skips the line. Odor molecules hit receptors in your nose, signals go to the olfactory bulb, and from there, straight into the amygdala and hippocampus, emotion and episodic memory central.
So while sight has to file a request with the middle manager, smell just walks into the CEO's office with muddy shoes. Emotion first, analysis later.
Exactly. That's why you can be walking down the street, catch a faint whiff of detergent, and suddenly feel sad before you even realize, oh, this smells like my old dorm laundry room. The feeling hits before the narrative.
And that's also why I'm cautious. Anything that gets to your emotional core before your critical brain wakes up has power. But that doesn't automatically make it wise. It makes it sneaky.
Sure, but the structure matters. When researchers talk about the Proust phenomenon after Marcel Proust's famous Madeleine cake scene, they're not just being poetic. Studies show smell-triggered memories are often more vivid, more emotional, and more likely to come from early childhood than memories triggered by words or pictures.
Right. People can suddenly re-be a 6-year-old in their grandmother's kitchen just from the smell of a certain soap or stew. And brain scans back that up. Odor-evoked recall lights up amygdala and hippocampal regions more strongly than other cues.
On top of that, there are physiological effects. Some work suggests that positive smell-induced memories can reduce markers of inflammation and even change breathing patterns, like the body is literally being told, you're home, you're safe, it's okay.
Which is beautiful, and exactly the sort of thing a cynic like me sees as ripe for manipulation. Smell bypasses the fact checkers and presses the belonging and safety buttons directly. Okay, let me throw an evolutionary angle in. Early animals basically were noses with muscles attached. For a long time, smell was the survival sense. Smoke equals fire, rot equals disease, certain musk equals predator or potential mate. Quick reactions beat deep thoughts.
Yeah, and that wiring survived. So now the same system that once told you, lion nearby, tells you, satay in the distance, or your ex was just here.
Or moldy leftovers, abort mission. Point is, it's designed for fast pattern recognition and emotional tagging, not, philosophical truth.
But you can't treat fast and emotional as automatically shallow. The speed is the depth. Smell memories are rooted in the period of life when lots of our core emotional templates were set. Pre-teen, pre-verbal stuff. That's precisely why they can feel like they cut through your adult stories and hit something more raw.
Or they just hit something less edited. Raw doesn't always mean true. It can also mean unprocessed.
Fair? All right, let's talk déjà vu and its smell cousin, because that's where things get really trippy.
Déjà vu is that I've been here before jolt. In smell world, you get something like Déjà Senti. Like, I've smelled this before, but you can't place it. It's like a ghost of familiarity without a storyline.
The Gestalt familiarity theory says déjà vu happens when the overall pattern of a situation matches an old memory, but you can't retrieve the specific episode. The system sends a familiar signal, but the address is missing. Smell is perfect at triggering that kind of pattern match. Same corridor layout, same cleaning fluid, same aircon smell as a hotel from childhood, and your brain goes, hey, we've been here, even if it's your first day in that building.
Then there's the more serious stuff, déjà vu, where people honestly feel every moment has already happened. That shows up in some dementias and temporal lobe epilepsy. And smell is often the aura. People sense strange, intense odors right before a seizure, alongside a crushing sense of inevitability.
There are even blind patients who experience déjà vu triggered by sounds and smells, which kills old theories that blamed eye movement glitches. It's clearly a memory system issue, not a pure visual bug.
All of that is cool neuroscience, but it's also my main argument. Smell is great at faking that sense of this is deeply meaningful, precisely because it entangles familiarity, time, and body feelings. In déjà vu, you feel like you know what's about to happen, but when scientists test it, your predictions are no better than chance.
You're right that feeling real doesn't equal being true. But if we're talking about human consciousness, those feelings are facts too. They're how time and self are lived from the inside, glitchy or not.
I'll give you that. Subjectively, smell is a big player in how now can suddenly become layered with then.
Okay, let's switch to language because this is where smell really exposes the limits of how we usually think about mind.
Yes, the smell of, that thing moment.
Exactly. We can talk about color with simple tags, red, blue, green. But when it comes to smell, most of us are stuck with, it smells like X. Like X what? Mango? Gasoline? Your aunt's kitchen? Our default smell vocabulary is relational.
And sometimes even that fails. You get a full-on, tip-the-nose moment. You know the smell is familiar. You swear you know it, but you can't name it. That's a real phenomenon, like tip of the tongue, but for odor.
Philosophically, this goes into qualia territory, the what it's like of a smell. You can know every chemical fact about geosmin, the molecule that makes wet earth smell like rain, and still have zero idea what smelled rain is if you've never inhaled it. The experience doesn't reduce to data.
But here's my favorite twist. That linguistic poverty is not universal. Anthropologists working with the Jahai people in the Malay Peninsula found they have a rich, abstract smell vocabulary. They can label odors with single words, like we say red, for clusters of smells, including things like musty, mushroomy, stale, or bloody, fishy, meaty, without naming a source. And they do it fast.
Which shows that we can't talk about smell problem is cultural, not biological. Our brains can categorize odors. We just don't train that capacity in most industrial societies.
So on your side, this means there's a whole smell world we're asleep to. On my side, it means, once again, smell doesn't reveal the true self by default. It reveals what your culture has taught you to attend to and name.
Merleau-Ponty would jump in and say, smell is part of how we inhabit the world, not just one more data stream. When you smell a wet forest, you're not just collecting variables, you're literally breathing in part of that environment. The line between me here and forest out there gets fuzzier.
Which is poetic and sweet, and also exactly why scent-based marketing exists. If I can hijack the way you inhabit a shopping mall just by controlling the air, that's some next-level nudging. Okay, let's go cultural, because on this topic, Indonesia is basically a grad school course by itself.
For real. Start with something simple, food. In Minangkabau culture, rendang isn't just food, it's an entire olfactory narrative. As the dish cooks, it moves from gulai, wet curry, to kalio, to dark, dry rendang. Each stage has a different smell, filling the house for hours. That slow transformation encodes time, patience, family.
For Minang folks abroad, the smell of rendang in a tiny apartment kitchen can immediately reassemble home, relatives, celebrations, even specific arguments. It's like edible memory foam.
In Bali, incense and flowers aren't just decoration. The smell of burning incense is part of the architecture of ritual, the bridge between human space and the divine. Kids there grew up with specific aromas tied to specific states of consciousness: reverence, stillness, focus.
And if you zoom into more remote communities like the Buli in Halmahera, smell is woven directly into their moral and spiritual map. Certain foul smells signal danger, disorder, even malevolent spiritual presence. Certain pleasant or right smells signal ancestral approval or ritual correctness. The nose is part moral compass, part radar for the invisible.
Don't forget the classic smell of rain in the tropics. That first waft of tanabasa after a long dry day is technically geosmin plant oils being lifted into the air, but in Indonesian songs, poems, and memories, bau hujan is basically shorthand for longing, childhood, lost love. You say bau hujan, people don't think chemistry, they think mood.
For diaspora, smell becomes a portable homeland. Indonesians overseas talk about nearly crying when they smell sambal being fried, or the faint earthy smell of a wet park that's close but not quite to our rain. Their bodies are in one country. Their noses briefly drag their inner world back to another.
So smell isn't just personal triggers. It's also a social and cultural script. Entire communities teach their kids which smells mean safe, which mean holy, which mean unclean, which mean us versus them.
And that's where my caution kicks in again. If smell memories feel like they're tapping into something deeper than words, they can also smuggle in social biases deeper than words. The smell of home is warm, but the smell of those people can become disgust and prejudice baked into the body.
True. The same wiring that lets incense calm you can also make certain bodies or neighborhoods feel wrong on a purely gut level. So smell is powerful in both directions. It can glue you to your history or lock you into reflexes you never consciously chose. Okay, let's talk about perfume, because that's where smell meets design and storytelling overtly.
Perfume as tiny bottled fanfic of reality.
Exactly. Classic perfumery works with top, heart, and base notes. Top notes hit you in the first seconds: citrus, green, ginger, then fade. Heart notes emerge in minutes: florals, spices. Base notes stick around for hours: woods, musks, resins. Each spritz is basically a time sculpture, a deliberate arc of how you smell to others over the next few hours.
There are almost algorithmic approaches, like the Jean Carles method, where perfumers balance materials in specific ratios on paper before blending. Then there's someone like Jean-Claude Elena, who deliberately doesn't copy nature molecule by molecule, but creates minimalist impressions, a rose written as a haiku, not a hyper-realistic painting.
Perfume is basically weaponized smell memory. You decide, I want to smell like this story. Maybe clean laundry plus cut grass says fresh start. Maybe smoke and leather and dried fruit says mysterious older person who owns too many books.
From my skeptic angle, perfume also shows how artificial smell meaning is. That mysterious vibe isn't inherent in the molecules. It's a cultural code you've learned. But once you've learned it, your body reacts anyway.
But isn't that the whole point? Our identities are partly built from codes we absorb. Perfume just lets us play consciously with them.
Until marketing steps in. Think about scent branding. Hotels, malls, even airlines commissioning signature scents see you unconsciously associate comfort or luxury with their environment. It's not neutral. You think you just like how it feels there, but part of that feeling is engineered.
True, but again, the fact that it works proves my original point. Smell reaches into layers of self and memory we don't fully control. Whether we use that for art, commerce, or healing is on us.
You mentioned tech, and this is where we can laugh a bit. People keep trying to build digital smell.
And mostly failing. Visual VR is pretty good now. You can teleport to a fake beach or a fake Mars in seconds. Audio is great, but smell, disaster. If you pump ocean breeze into a room, those molecules hang around. Change the scene to a forest, your nose gets ocean plus pine plus plastic diffuser machine. Not immersive.
Some companies try to make smell printers for the internet. There was even a gadget hyped as I smell at one point. Plug it into your computer, get emails with scent attachments. It tanked. Not just because it was silly, but because smell isn't like pixels you can flip on and off. It's physical particles lingering and interacting.
And our brain's smell system evolved for slow, fuzzy, ambient information, not rapid-fire scene changes. You can cut from city to desert visually at 60 frames per second, but smell doesn't have a frame rate like that. Even if the tech worked, consciousness might not cooperate.
So, ironically, the one sense that's most intimately tied to memory is the hardest to virtualize cleanly. That gives it a weird resistance to full digital capture.
Which, in my romantic view, makes smell one of the last stubbornly physical pieces of experience. You want pine forest? You have to actually move air that has touched pine.
Unless someone invents a molecular level smell scrubber and printer. Then we're doomed.
All right, let's start wrapping with our main dispute. I'm saying smell-evoked memories are privileged. They give us a deeper, more embodied access to who we are than most other cues.
And I'm saying they're powerful, yes. Privileged, no. They're more like a very loud relative at the family reunion of memory, not necessarily wiser, just more intense.
Okay, here's my defense. 1, the wiring. Direct pipeline from nose to amygdala and hippocampus means smell memories are tightly coupled to emotion and autobiographical episodes. They're not abstract recollections, they're relived states. 2, they often reach back to pre-verbal childhood. That's a period we can't easily access through language. Smell is one of the few ways that pre-story self leaks into our adult life. 3, because smell is so hard to verbalize, it doesn't fit neatly into the narratives we consciously spin. That makes it harder to fully domesticate or rationalize. So when a smell hits, you may be meeting parts of yourself you haven't already over-explained.
I'll counter point by point. 1, being routed through emotion centers doesn't make something, quote, more true. It makes it more felt. Trauma memories are also highly emotional and vivid. That doesn't make them accurate or helpful straight out of the box. 2, childhood stuff can be both foundational and distorted. Just because a smell takes you back to your grandmother's kitchen doesn't mean your interpretations of that memory aren't colored by nostalgia, guilt, or later stories. 3, unspeakable isn't the same as authentic. Sometimes we can't put an experience into words because we haven't really understood it yet, not because it's too deep and pure.
I don't disagree with those cautions, but I'd still say if you want to do serious introspection or therapy, ignoring smell is like ignoring a whole language your body is speaking. Used carefully, smell cues can unlock things talk therapy ignores.
That I agree with. There's promising work on using scent in dementia care, PTSD, depression, because it taps into residual memory and safety circuits that words can't reach.
So maybe we actually align on the practical consequence. Smell deserves more respect in psychology, design, even spirituality.
Yeah, my beef is only with the move from this is powerful to this is sacred truth. Your nose is not an oracle. It's a very old, very intense, very hackable part of your brain.
Fine, I'll stop short of calling it an oracle, but I'll still call it an underappreciated philosopher.
Closing statement time?
Go ahead. I'll keep it simple. Every day, as you walk around, you're breathing in tiny pieces of the world. Coffee, rain, exhaust, old books, shampoo, incense, frying shallots. Those bits of matter ride a fast lane into the core of your emotional and memory systems. That's why a smell can suddenly make you 8 years old again, or make you feel safe in a foreign city, or make your chest tight for reasons you can't name. Smell doesn't politely ask your prefrontal cortex for permission. It just arrives. In a culture that worships screens and words, that from below way of knowing is easy to miss. But if you start paying attention, really noticing what your nose is telling you, you might find stories about yourself that never show up in your Instagram archive or your therapy monologue. Stories about home, fear, desire, faith, the places your body thinks are safe, the people it still grieves. So yeah, I think smell is a privileged door into the self. Not the only one, not infallible, but uniquely embodied. Ignore it, and you're living with half your archive locked.
My turn. I buy everything about smell being fast, emotional, and deeply wired. The olfactory system is older than our love of TED Talks by a few 100 million years. And culturally, especially in places like Indonesia, smell clearly carries memory, identity, morality, even cosmology. Where I draw the line is at romance without skepticism. Smell-evoked memories are intense because they bypass filters, because they tie into early life, because we lack good language for them. That cocktail makes them feel truer than other memories, but feeling truer isn't a guarantee of accuracy or wisdom. It just means more circuits are firing. So my advice is take your nose seriously, but don't hand it the keys. Let smells teach you where your body feels at home or in danger. Let them help you remember and heal. But also notice how easily they can be used to sell you things, to trigger prejudice, to lock you into nostalgia loops. In short, smell isn't the oracle of the true self. It's a powerful channel in the messy radio station of consciousness. Tune in. Just keep your critical ear on.
And that's the debate.
This was RJ Debate. Stay curious, stay critical.
And maybe next time a random smell hits you like a truck, instead of just thinking, wow, weird, ask, okay, nose, what are you trying to tell me? And what might you be hiding?